Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Burdon, and with my wife Jan, we live in East Hoathly Village. The neighbourhood plan gives us the opportunity to put forward, from the residents of both East Hoathly and Alan, our views about future developments for both villages, assuming from the anecdotal evidence that we've heard both this morning and previously that there's going to be no investment, sustainable long-term investment in transport, school, health or leisure within East Hoathly. So any growth in housing unit numbers has to be undertaken sympathetically to what is currently in place. I live in East Hoathly. My views are pointed towards East Hoathly because I don't feel particularly able to comment on Hallam, and people who live in Hallam will be able to do that. It's incumbent upon us as residents of East Hoathly Village to leave a legacy for our successors. One of the things that Richard posed when we came to the meetings in January was, what do we want to see this village looking like in 15 years' time? And we came up with the answer that it should be substantially as it is now, with some growth on infill sites, and I don't want to see us going away from that at all. There is going to be some development in East Hoathly. We know that land will be put forward. Rather than talking about a plot of land down here, there is another plot of land right next door to it. And if you look at both those plots of land in the way that they sit on the entrance into the village or the exit from the village, they are ripe for development. And if those sites are developed, then we would want to see the development staying to the extent of those two sites and not extending any further. We've already heard about the plans for development. What our village needs is 1, 2 or 3 bedroom houses, which will give young people the opportunity, or young families, to progress and carry on living within the environment in which they grew up. And if that happens, they will create an ongoing heart for this village. There's also an opportunity, I guess, for older residents to downsize. Another thing I would like to see, and it's going to be contentious, but I think that this pavilion and our village hall need to be combined. So if we demolish the village hall and replace it with a small development of 3 or 4 houses, or perhaps a small development of flat units, we could incorporate the money from selling the village hall. We could build a combined village hall and sports pavilion in a different location from where it is now.
Yeah. That's your village hall.
That's the village hall. Sited up towards that part of the recreation ground, then opens up the cricket field for the cricket club because it gives them more space, and I'm sure that there will be some designer-led people who could come up with a better idea for how this recreation ground is spread out. As I said, if we could sell the village hall, that would provide some funding towards the cost of the redevelopment. I'm sure that the developers of the plots of land that would be available could be asked to make a contribution, and we might even be able to get some lottery funding towards building a proper village hall pavilion for the community. We don't want to see overly large housing developments built with no concern for the present infrastructure or the environment. The plans which have been put forward, in my view, are ill-conceived and not thought through. They take no account of the present services, how to improve them, so that they cope with the increased demands on sewage, electric, transport, education, or even the closeness of the Ashdown Forest. And that has to be protected, as Wilton District Council will tell us, from the nitrogen deposits. Present landowners of those sites could make substantial gains in selling those sites. The question I leave you with is, would they be prepared to make any contribution towards improving the facilities of the village?
Okay, if you just any questions? I'm just really interested in the village hall area.
Have we made any attempt to get an assessment of the valuation of the village hall site?
Absolutely not. All I did was, when we came to the meetings in January, I took away in my mind, what do we want to see in this village in 15 or 20 years' time? And what I want to see is something which our children and our grandchildren will be proud of.
What? Sorry, yes, go on.
Yeah, I'm chairman of Roy Broad, chairman of the tennis club here. That idea, I think it has been put forward before, but given the village hall, I mean, that would be fantastic. This building isn't really fit for purpose. It's not fit for purpose at all. So any movement like that would be a fantastic idea. The only thing you did say about moving it further over so the cricket pitch could expand, what happens to our courts?
Tennis court.
We can move those.
We're just about to get them repainted and all sorts. So,
I'm sure we could,
the general idea,
we could redesign, because we heard from the school children this morning that play area that's up there, they don't use because it's designed for younger children.
Yeah.
I think there was an idea put forward 3-4 years ago of providing a kick wall, which is one of these fancy LED walls that could be built that children could use. But that's, it hasn't been taken forward because I don't think there's any room for us to put it.
That is actually something that our tennis coach has been looking into, a multi-purpose area where that basketball setup is at the moment. And it again is something that we've been looking at, and any improvements like that would be fantastic for the village.
Yes, there's a hand up, wasn't there?
Yeah, I'm interested in this because it seemed to me when I was looking at what might be interesting for the village was a lot of things seem to be all coming together around about where the recreation ground is, and particularly the strip of road on the Halland Road. Because there seem to be a lot of issues there. One is that people drive into the village very fast and then suddenly hit the village before the cars slow down. It seems to me one of the things that needs doing is a recognition that is the gateway to the village at some point, and that needs marking and traffic needs slowing down. And it seemed to me that the natural point was you haven't got it on your map there, but the hedgerow. If you look at just on Google Earth or what it is, but you can see all the vegetation, but there's the line of, go down a bit, the line of trees, you've got moatwood, and then you've also got the sort of hedgerow behind where the bonfire normally is. That is all green, and also on the other side, and you're sort of passing through a natural vegetation gateway, and that seems to me to be the natural extent and limit of the developed village. And at some point that could be marked much more significantly than it is at the moment.
It's this band of green that you're talking about. But so there's a threshold here that you would cross.
Right. And as well as that, you've got this area of recreation ground which is very boggy and hardly used at all, and something needs to be done about that. There's also issues of people trying to get across that road, because there's a footpath, as you know, just further down the road, opposite where the pavilion is pretty much, which then goes back up to Old Wiley. And there's also the wheelway trying to cross at some point, and it's very, very difficult. So something needs to be done with the traffic. And it seemed to me that you could make something physically to stop traffic going so quickly.
At this point,
by the time
they get down here,
it could be a building in the middle of the road. It could be a mound, for instance,
But isn't this
Now
a
that you-
piece of land that was talked about? For
that comes into the whole area. Is the
Well, I
key
can already see one of Matt's lovely curved.
I mean,
buildings
if
here.
you say build a mound in the middle of the road, but the road has to go round, and on top of the mound is where you build the firework, the fire bonfire.
But there is
up in
something,
the air, and
you've picked up
becomes
a very good point, that if this becomes a development site with Community Land Trust, there's an interface with the road and this green band that comes across, that's where, as a driver coming in, you have development. Traffic engineers, really forward-thinking traffic engineers, talk about something called edge friction. And when you walk down a motorway and there's nothing either side of you go faster. And we've driven down that this morning, and you can go fast because there's nothing to take in. If at this point there's a landmark corner buildings of some sort of BedZ inspired, suddenly you've arrived. And the road surface could change texture or colour, and the green edges could be, and as you said, this then becomes a much slower area of vehicle speed. And I think that this is, look, it's a good point you've made, that the wider you look at it, there is a sort of edge to the
Because
village.
it's pointless, if you take the wheelway, it's pointless trying to walk across from the allotments to the end of that old riding road.
Yeah.
That's just, I wouldn't let my children do it.
If I just pick up what Alan was saying a minute ago about the selling of the village hall and so on, I'm going to doodle on this, I hope this works. I use orange. What was it, when we came to the village first of all, we saw this area here. Is this coming up?
Yeah.
This is your tarmac car park.
Yep.
Okay. But when you look at it, it actually starts to look to us like it could be a little village square of some sort. Because what you've got around this, and I've put them in pink, you've got your school here, and you've got your church, and you've got currently a village hall here. So you've got three of your key community buildings, 1, 2, 3. I know that's facing the wrong way, but if you turn your village hall around, the front door is on the back, and this isn't just a tarmac car park, it could have a new surface or something. I know we talked earlier about Hallam's not having a village centre, but you've got a proper village square waiting to happen, I felt. It's got a weird curve in that car park, hasn't it? And this route down here is the path that we walked. Now, if you lost your village hall and it got taken out and went for housing, I would like to see another village hall, a replacement bigger hall, of, pavilion or whatever, to go back to that colour. Maybe, I'm just going to doodle this on, maybe, I've gone into their garden, sorry about that, but really brought back this end, not down the top end, because that people could park in here and walk to it. We need to work out how you get there. But there's already a critical mass of things happening in the village around this central area, the church, the school, the current village hall. And we've worked in many villages where the doctor's surgery's been on the west, the school's been on the east, and people drive everywhere. To have them clustered around a nice space could be quite positive.
But if you lost that space to parking...
No, you still park in it.
Well, no, if you lost that space to parking and created a village square, seats and paved, and moved the village hall there, brought the pavilion up from where it's sited now, you've got room then to put parking there, which would take away the need to park.
We're not saying lose the park. The French are particularly good at this. On a Tuesday it's the market, and the rest of the week people park in it. But it's multi-purpose. It's not just black tarmac. But we felt there was some, and these houses, whoever's living here, they could have a much improved value. Looking over that, we thought that that's a little project, but. The tennis courts, you're about to invest in them. We moved the tennis courts with it. There's a lot here, and the big question is, where's the tower, the church tower? From memory, is it on that end?
Yeah.
It is. Okay. So the question is, forget nice. Does the zip line go that way? Or does it go across all the houses down to
And
the...
more tree houses there again.
And tree houses, but I think this middle area, from our site visits earlier in the year, had some, if you close your eyes a little bit and look around, with these lovely key buildings around it, and a car park in the middle that looks like a car park, could change. But we wouldn't say you can't park there, it just has to be repurposed. But maybe if this got, combining and bringing them closer, I don't know, it's just, these are ideas that we can think about. But Alan's brought it to our attention that there's a central bit. Anyway, we'll get rid of that people.
Well, that car park, I mean, we bring the children to school every morning, so, it's quite full. Teachers park there as well.
I know, it's staff
So,
parking.
it can't just be, it can't be parking for everybody, can it?
No, it can't. And what we've talked with Ian's presentation about walking and getting children walk to school rather than be driven, if we can get a more pleasant walking route and then try and do something with that space in the middle, I don't know, we've got to try, haven't we, to try and improve it.
Well, I agree.
And I think,
People are so stuck in their ways. What do they do? Get in the car first thing in the morning, get the kids to school. You know, they don't give them some time to walk. They've got to relearn a whole new facet of their lives.
the problem is when we walk, the Halland contingent in the room, we went around there looking for a similar, thing to work around to try and improve, and didn't jump out off the map to us. So we need to think about.
I like what you're saying. I just wonder how difficult it will be to achieve.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to hear from Charlie and his team now. We've been patiently waiting.